goddamn, I need IPA.
This is Beering Ain't Easy, your podcast for beer humor, dad humor, and beer tastings from Texas and beyond. So crack one if you got one and turn it up.
Welcome to Beering Ain't Easy, Season 3, Episode 4, with Ryan and Drew.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we are here for an in-person treat for y'all in the Houston area. How are you feeling, Ryan?
I've missed this. Actually, I got a little bit nervous when we were starting. It's like, man, it's been too long. It's been like at least 2 months, probably more than that.
The longer you wait, the more jittery you are when you start. It's like, okay, we got to get into this thing. I feel like the entire beer news scene has just changed. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. I know you have all kinds of big news that you need to share with the world. And that's why we're back in the studio recording today.
We've said it before, but we hate being such downers where we have like news of brewery closures every single time we record a new episode. And then we take this time off like we did, and so much happens. So like,
we can't not talk about it.
Yeah, we have to talk about it. And now there's so much to talk about that it's going to consume an entire episode. So,
I mean, the theme of season 2 was bringing up the H-Town Brewery Challenge. And then the theme of season 3 is just tearing it down.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard of a challenge. I don't know what that is.
You don't know what is this challenge you speak of?
So, as we've been between episodes, I've had a little note on my phone, and every time I see brewery news about openings, closings, whatever, I've just been noting them down on my phone. So I have like a kind of a chronological list of all the things that have happened since we were recording regularly. So I figured we'd just start in order.
From the top.
And,
let's do it.
And go through. So we started out acting like this was going to be a bummer, but the actual first thing on my list is actually a really cool thing. True Anomaly opening a second location.
Heck yeah.
It's a little bit farther down navigation east of Ninfos. So it's a little bit farther out than their regular location now, but it's a lot bigger brewing space, and apparently they're renting out a barrel room and have a pickleball court and stuff. So it seems like they're doing some cool stuff. We both really like True Anomaly, so this is cool news.
Keep bringing home hardware on the beers. Very excited to see that they're starting to sell their beers in 6-packs instead of the 4-packs. So I feel like that's the sign you've made it when you're starting to distribute in 6-packs. Is that a sign of success?
I don't know. That is an interesting topic. Like, yeah, because it was 4-packs of 16-ounce cans, and now it's 6-packs of 12-ounce cans. And I don't feel like doing the math right now, but I think that's the same. How many ounces of beer? I think that's the same, right? Maybe. Actually, now I got to check this.
Ryan's getting out his calculator.
16 times 4. Oh, no, dang it. So, a 4-pack of 16-ounce cans is 64 ounces, and a 6-pack of 12-ounce cans is 72 ounces. So, yeah, a 6-pack is 8 more ounces. It's a little bit more. But it's also, I like drinking 12 ounces because I like mixing it up. So you're not as committed. It's a little bit less. You can mix things up a little bit more.
And in Houston, like, your beer gets hot. And so, like, when you're drinking anything more than 12 ounces, it's like your koozie, unless you have one of those weird 16-ounce koozies. It's not full coverage, so you're going to get hot on the top. Just pet peeve of mine. And let's be honest, when you buy a 4-pack, I mean, I got off topic here, but you get a 4-pack, you're paying more than what you're paying for a 6-pack on average. I feel like it's like you see a 4-pack of 16 ounces and someone's like, oh yeah, we could charge $20 for that. But you get a 6-pack and you're like, no, we can't charge $20. We need to charge something closer to, 12 or 15.
I was not with you until that very last point, and now I think you're absolutely right. I think I've been bamboozled my whole life until just right now. I think you're absolutely right.
So maybe it is a terrible decision to go to 6-packs.
So they should have stuck with
it's great for the consumers.
Dang. All right. Well, on that note, let's get depressing. What do you say?
Yeah, let's bring it down a notch.
The next beer news topic on my list is Urban South HTX. Oh. Just out of nowhere, no notice, shutting down the taproom.
Man, out of all the news, if you know how you pick the bucket lists and you can bid on like who's going to die next, I wouldn't have picked that one. And I don't think it had anything to do with financial performance. It just, they shut it down.
Yeah, I had heard that they weren't like getting along great with the original New Orleans location, but like to shut down a location like that, did they go that rogue or something? I don't know.
I mean, they had such a loyal following in Houston. I don't understand that one. Like, there was always people there. They made unique beers. They had a niche spot, and man, I'm sure their ingredients were expensive because they made some funky stuff, and it was really cool and interesting. But I mean, damn.
Yeah, I'm just so confused about this one. Like, they weren't in like a high traffic location. They were like in an industrial area, like a little bit off of Washington. So it can't be like a rent was like just crazy or anything. Like,
there has to be an interesting story behind this,
dude. There's got to be something.
We need to go undercover.
If you're listening and if you have inside info, our DMs are open. We need some info on this. It's a little late. I mean, this was a couple months ago, but we got to know. We got to know.
Better late than never.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we can just go rapid fire. We can't dwell on these too long.
Oh yeah, no. One, you just keep them going rapid fire.
Right. This is probably the biggest one of like anything that's happened in the Houston brewery scene in the last, I would say, couple of years, and that was the sudden closure of Buffalo Bayou, which we talked about.
Oh yeah, which we saw the warning signs were there on that one.
I mean, we're generally pretty positive about the Houston beer scene, and we were not that way with Buffalo Bayou. I feel like we showed our opinions on that.
Yeah, I tried not to bash them too bad, but that's the only brewery that I was like, you know what, I'm okay if they're not around.
Yeah, like we made it pretty clear how we thought it was not cool what's
Great
going
tap
on
room.
over there.
Great tap room.
Yeah, so, and yeah, man, I wish we would have been recording when all this went down, because after they closed and they went up for auction,
You put a bid in.
I was sent a link to the auction where they went up for auction on a website, on a commercial real estate website, and I was sent the link to it, and there was like 300 pictures or something of the condition of the location, and it was like eerie. It was like everyone just like put their stuff down and walked out, and they like locked the doors. The pictures were crazy, and it was weird, and they were auctioning everything off, and yeah, since we weren't being active, I couldn't really share anything about that, which I regret. But they ended up getting bought by Gulf Coast Distillers, which rebranded now as Giant Texas Distillers. So this is a family that 1920s and then like moved to Houston and started a coffee company and came up until like the 2000s, and then they started distilling, and then now they've done some random stuff, but now apparently they're taking over Buffalo Bayou, which is cool, I guess. It's such a cool space, and there was so much money involved in building out that facility that I'm really glad someone actually picked up the torch and is doing something with it.
But I thought they had like in their brewery name that's like owned by the distillery company.
Yeah, it's going to be called Tejas Beer.
Tejas Beer. But I think they have beer production somewhere else in Texas as well already. So I think they're established.
All right, Drew. Thanks to the power of the internets, I have some answers for you.
Okay, thank you.
We're digging into this as we speak. So there was a brewing company called Big Ben Brewing Company outside of Marfa, and they just had a few beers. And they brewed beers for this company that was their Tejas Brewing brand. Big Ben closed in 2018, but they sold all that intellectual property to Gulf Coast Distilling, so they still owned that stuff that they contract brewed. So now they are buying this facility, and they're continuing the production of those beers.
Nice. I've never had a Tejas beer, but I'm down to try it, especially at that location. Beer already tastes a little bit better with the Houston skyline in the back, so give them a shot.
That is true. So it sounds like the beers that they brewed were Tejas Clara, which is like a Mexican lager, Negra, which is like a black lager, and Tejas Prima, which don't really know what that means, but sounds like it was all really easy drinking, light stuff, which is perfect for that rooftop beer.
Oh yeah,
that rooftop bar patio. So yeah, I'm optimistic about this.
Get some kegs into the local Mexican food restaurants, man. It's a match made in heaven.
I'll be all in on that.
So I'm going to cut in here, Ryan, and I'm going to crack a beer open because we actually haven't talked about what we're drinking today. So we're drinking some random beers, but as we get the obligatory beer opening sound here, my buddy Larry was hanging out friend of the show, Larry, was hanging out in Shreveport and brought back some beer from a new brewery I haven't been to out there called the Seventh Tap. So we are drinking, not pouring on Ryan's table, the Nectar Double IPA brewed with Cohea, Blend, and Nectaron hops, which Ryan is here to tell us all about those hops. Ryan, what do you have to know about those?
I mean, I've heard about Nectaron hops. I just can't describe them to you, but I mean, as you can imagine, they're citrusy like nectarines. That's what, hence the name.
Man, I can smell the nose on this beer from like a mile away. This one's going to be a good one.
Ooh.
Is that like the strongest nose you've ever smelled in a beer?
And it's got like the vegetal part of the hop aroma on it too.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's not. Seems like it's not filtered.
So I saved this one. Like he gave me about 4 or 5 of their beers, and I was drinking them, and I was like, "Man, this is a pretty solid brewery." And so he told me this was his favorite. So we're going to find out.
It's actually a lot softer on the tongue than I expected, based on the aroma. But yeah, you taste a little bit of that like I don't know how else to say it. The vegetal part of the hop, like that kind of grassy. Yeah, it's got some citrusy notes to it. It finishes really clean. I'm impressed. This is really good.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. A rare Louisiana beer appearance other than Parrish on the podcast. Someone else other than Parrish has got to bring it up big in the state of Louisiana.
There's a non-0% chance I'm going to Parrish in the next 48 hours, Drew.
It's never a bad decision to stop at Parrish. Like
the timing is what matters. They close at 7 tomorrow. Depends on what time I leave here. It's 4 hours away.
If the weather conditions are prohibitive for coming back in the Houston area, you might just need to stay at Parrish.
Yeah, I may need to stay in Broussard's as close as I can get to Houston before I feel uncomfortable with the weather conditions.
Oh, I guess I'm staying here tonight. I'm really stuck on the term vegetal that you use. Like I can't think of any other descriptor because once you said that, all I get is like the grassy green. It's a good descriptor, but it's very good.
I would say I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
I mean, Nectar.
That's what it is.
I've got a beef with most beer names that they're not like match the beer, but I think in this case, calling this beer Nectar is actually a pretty good beer name for the taste that you get. It's kind of like you're a butterfly getting like a wildflower. I mean, that's kind of that's the hard-hitting topics we talked about on this podcast.
Man, speaking of beer descriptors, that may be an all-time high for the Beering and Easy podcast of butterfly sipping on nectar.
And that's why I got into craft beer. All right, bring us back to a topic here.
What are we doing with our lives, Drew? Anyway, hey, we acted like it was going to be like the most depressing episode ever, but I have another positive beer news.
Oh, yes.
That's my next one. Project Halo expanded. They have a new tap room. It's in the same industrial complex, but they expanded a little bit. I don't think you've been there.
I haven't. You went, right?
Yeah, so I've been. It's very kind of funky, but like artsy and cool. Really small inside. They had a little small area outside, which we sat outside so that our daughter had room to run around and stuff. If they're in a bigger facility now I really want to make a point to go back because, yeah, all the beer was really good. I was joking with Allison as I felt like very in tune with the bartender that was there the day we went. It was like, it seemed like he knew what I wanted before I ordered it, and he just, when I'd order it, he'd give me a nod like, yep, that's right. And he would get me that beer, and it was just like, yep, this is good. And it just seemed like everything was right when I was there. So I'm very excited to go back and see their new facility.
Nice. Haven't been there, but I've had their beer at different beer events and like what they stand for and diversity in brewing. And like, they always have like a lot of like artwork with like Frida Kahlo influence in it. Like, I'm a fan of their beers and like fan of what they stand for. So
Yeah.
they're like a total Houston brewery. Like they embody a lot of the Houston culture.
Oh, for sure. And it's love to see good things happen to good breweries and good people. So that's a good one.
Are you going to bring us down after that now? I saw this look. You're like, I guess I'm going to have to take us back down.
Yeah, I hate to do this, but I know we did an episode talking about your excursion to Austin breweries, and you talked about how your favorite place was Family Business.
Yeah. Don't tell me something went wrong.
So this one's like kind of an in-between. It's not a staying up and not a close, but an in-between. They closed their tap room.
No.
But they said they're still distributing, and they're still looking for a location closer into Austin, because the place was out in Dripping Springs, right?
Yeah, it was a little out there, but
so it was out there. So yeah, so they were looking for a place, closer into town, but they're still going to distribute in the meantime. Which apparently, as I looked into this a little bit more, they were in an agreement to be a part of some new commercial complex, I don't know, food hall type place, and it fell through. So they were already planning on opening a second location anyway, and then it fell through, and then I guess they decided we're still going to go for it, so let's shut down the tap room and like really make the move. So we'll see what happens.
What breaks my heart on that one is that, like, and we got to, have to get Adam's opinion on this, being in the Dripping Springs area now, but like, that was my favorite kid-friendly brewery because it had this massive playground and they had all these tables outdoors, but it was kind of out in the middle of nowhere and big open space. And so like, but it was, and they had a food truck that had like gluten-free options for my celiac daughter. And so loved it. So I hate to see that place go down, but as long as they're still kicking, then it's not a complete loss for the beer scene in Texas.
I say they're still distributing, and actually, I don't know if I've told you this, but they actually distribute to RHEB.
What?
Yeah, they have a lager, a family business lager that is actually distributed here in Cypress.
Y'all are so far outside of Houston that you might as well be in Austin. I mean, like, when I drive up here, it's like, so for the listeners, this is a live in-person episode, so I'm staying at, our family's hanging out with Ryan's family. We're staying the night because to drive up here and do a podcast and drive home is really not a possibility because it's like over an hour to get up here. So just going to complain about that a little more.
Yeah, we joke about that, how we're like basically like, no, we're not halfway to Austin. But we joke about how we're getting up that way.
At least College Station. I'm going to break into the beer topics because it's been a long time since we podcast, and I feel like we need to have like dad rants and like maybe yard rants from time to time. And so I've got something that grinds my gear with one of my neighbors. And so I don't know if you've had this problem yet or this run-in in your neighborhood yet, but I try to keep the weeds low in my yard. I try to maintain, and I've had a history of my neighbor next to me that doesn't manage their yard, and so weeds everywhere. And so those weeds propagate into my yard. And so I've noticed, like, I've got this pretty good-looking yard, and then 10 foot of space next to my neighbor's yard looks like shit because all this crabgrass comes over. So I kind of did a thing recently where I happened to be spraying weed killer in my yard, and I may have allowed an overspray, 6 to 10 foot into my neighbor's yard. Is that passive aggressive behavior, or is that acceptable given the circumstances?
I mean, this guy has displayed to you that he doesn't care what happens to his yard. So if you treat his yard, I guarantee you he does not care. I think you're actually good in this situation.
Okay, I'm glad, because like it did turn it brown for like maybe a week, but since then that patch of yard that I sprayed for him looks better than the rest of his yard. So there's a clear sign that herbicides work.
Maybe this is part of his master plan.
Maybe he's like, I wonder if he'll just start spraying maybe another 20 foot over and then take the whole yard out. Yeah.
I notice he cares about his yard. If I am annoying enough about it, maybe he'll take care of my yard too.
Damn it. He's figured it out.
He's playing chess. You're playing checkers, man. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Damn it.
I have been neglecting my grass ever since our son was born. I thought it was going to be a temporary thing, but now it's been over a year, and I'm still not doing the pre-emergent, not doing the fertilizing like I used to do. I feel like I've lost my touch.
You know, I don't want to like bring you down, but I fell into that trap with my youngest daughter where I went like a couple years of not really treating it, and now I've been fighting the battle for like 4 years after to like stop the bleeding from the damage.
Dang it.
Yeah. I feel like Houston in general, like the yards want to become the swamp again. Like it's a natural order of like it's entropy. It goes from a state of order to a state of disorder with enough time. So chaos reigns in Houston grass scene. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I got no response to that. All right, so bring it back into the local scene. So this one's interesting. I actually have things to say about this one.
Okay.
Klaus Brewing, which I've always liked. I feel like it was always underappreciated, but they were like very committed to only German-style beers. But they put themselves up for sale anonymously, like last year or the year before, I forgot. But they were like, a Northwest Houston brewery with lagering tanks. It's like, well, that's the only, I think maybe the only brewery in Houston with lagering tanks. So it was like so obvious when they like anonymously listed for sale that this was the place. And then they randomly shut down a few weeks ago. And they said they had some issues with their equipment and they had a bunch of people trying to help them out and get it fixed and they just couldn't get it figured out, blah, blah, whatever. So they had to shut down. I had someone in the industry contact me about this particular closure.
Oh, I hope you have some good scoop here.
There's no specific scoop about it, but they said that's bullshit. There's so much cheap equipment in the industry right now with all these closures. Whatever happened wasn't that expensive that it had to shut them down. They just wanted to shut down. I don't want to be I don't want to be like this and like be spreading rampant rumors like this. Actually, I feel kind of bad about this. But the fact that they went for sale recently, apparently didn't sell, and then they shut down now, gives some credence to what I heard. I always really liked Klaus, so I don't want to like say anything bad, but I don't know. You know,
when I saw that message about equipment failure, like crippling equipment failure, I was like, the type of equipment failure that is unrecoverable would be like a beer explosion. And I don't think there's anything, explosive that they're brewing in there. So like, I mean, if this is like a PLC problem or a tank problem, those are all repairable. So it's, I'll allow it. I'll allow
that's basically what I was told. It was like, unless the place burnt down and the equipment was unsalvageable, they could have replaced it. And the fact that they were acting like they were trying to fix it doesn't make any sense. So I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, all right.
Okay, do you have something?
I feel gross.
Do you have something a little more of an upper here? All right, I'm going to interject with an upper.
All right, let's see. Because I feel gross after that one.
Ryan feels slimy for spreading rumors, but I love it. It's glorious.
We're renaming our podcast InfoWars Beer Edition. So,
introducing our guest, Joe Rogan. Ryan Rogan over here. All right. Ryan said that it didn't exist, but at one point in time, we had something known as the H-Town Brewery Challenge, where we went to all new breweries in the Houston area, and one day we'll get them all. But they're too far away from us, and we kind of lost a little bit of traction there. But we did go to a new brewery recently. We went to go check out Craft Culture X, which I have definitely been wanting to check out because I've been kind of interacting with For the Culture Brewing for a long time, and they hooked up with Ovennik. So we went and checked it out. So, Ryan, what were your thoughts, man? We did a kids in tow brewery trip.
Yeah, the moon landing and the H&M Brewery Challenge, you know. Anyway, sorry, what?
Ryan, quit paying attention. I'll leave out again.
Yeah, no, Craft Culture X, super, like, very kid-friendly. Like, that was kind of our main concern when we went. We're like, we don't know if it's kid-friendly, but we showed up and they were like, the kids can do sidewalk chalk inside if they want, you know, whatever. Like, we're going to mop it anyway. Like, they were, like, so accommodating, so friendly. And it's cool to be able to get, like, 2 different concepts in the same place and be able to try them both. I liked it.
Nice.
What about you, Thuster?
Beer's great. Like I felt like I drank more of the Ovennik beers because they were a little on the lighter side. It seemed like For the Culture beers they had more of the stouts and Belgians and heavier beers. And so when we went, it happened to be like 800 degrees outside. So like I was going for the lightest beers possible. So definitely enjoyed that, but want to go back when it's a little cooler because I mean, that's the only thing in these Houston breweries, man. It can get pretty hot. And so I want to come back when I can try it in a cooler air situation. But other than that, it was great.
That is spot on. So you are right. Yeah, I had more Ovennik beers as well because, it was lighter stuff. I did have Mo Bitta Mo Betta, which was like a true West Coast style, which I feel like there's not that many more. Like everything went hazy, lighter IPAs, and this was like a true like West Coast, like, hey, like we're going to punch you in the face with bitterness. I was like, the beer was good. And I appreciate that they make it. It was just like freaking hot. So I was like regretting getting it.
Yeah. In Houston, you got to select your beers based on the temperature.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That was my fault, not theirs.
All right. I'm done interrupting you from your beer topics, Ryan. So you've got the floor here.
A topic we've talked about several times on the podcast is Anchor Brewing, the saga with Anchor Brewing.
I love a good Anchor Brewing update.
Well, you're going to love this one.
Did someone buy it?
Yes, they got bought out by the team that owns Chobani yogurt.
Oh, yes, I did see that. That is the greatest beer news ever. I mean, why not?
So there was a couple, I think there's 2 stages to this. First, they got an offer to get bought out by Chobani yogurt, essentially. We're just going to say that to simplify everything. And then the Anchor Brewing employees that like formed like a union. It was like the Anchor Brewing Union had to approve getting bought out by them and operating under that structure, and they approved it. So goodbye, Anchor Steam. Hello, smoothie sours.
Yes, I was waiting for this. I was waiting for the Anchor Steam smoothie beer. I can't wait.
Their live culture brewing project is going to take off. Can't you wait for like 10 years from now and be like, back in our day, Anchor used to brew steam beers in California Commons. Everyone's going to be like, what?
What is this style you speak of? I like that news. That wasn't that depressing.
That's just so funny.
That was a silly news.
Yeah, that was a silly one. Yeah. Back when all the breweries are getting bought up by, big macro brewing companies, and now this one is like, oh yeah, Chobani yogurt wants to get involved. It's like, okay, let's see how this plays out. I'm so excited about this.
Seem a little late to the game. Smoothie sours have been going for a little while, so I mean, I would like to see what they have up their sleeve. Ooh, yeah. I heard a new crack there.
I was trying to wait for sound so you can edit it out.
No. The beer openings are always prime podcast material.
All right.
And I believe you're drinking the same beer that I've been drinking, which is the Bad Astronaut Spin Craft Mexican Lager. Is that correct?
That is correct. I don't know if it's a new one from them, but I've never had it before.
It is a new one, and it's a collaboration between the Hip Hop Vintage Flea Market and Bad Astronaut. Oh, proceeds go to autism awareness.
I'll say they do that flea market all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I like that. Yeah, it's like Bad Astronaut, I feel like is one of the most active breweries in Houston. They're doing stuff.
I mean, they have comedy shows, concerts, flea markets. They came in punching.
Yeah, car shows.
Oh yeah.
All sorts of stuff. It's crazy. You ready for another silly Another silly beer news story.
Oh, yes. That's the only ones I live for.
So, Hulk Hogan.
Oh, yes. I love the way this is starting already.
Hulk Hogan came out with his own beer.
Brother.
He saw Troy Aikman and said, "Hold my beer." So he came out with a beer called Real American Beer.
Obviously.
And he says it's going to be in 21 states this summer. I don't know if Texas is one of them, but I'm very curious. We're going to have to do a taste off. If and when it comes to Houston, we're going to have to do a taste off with 8 beer and Real American Beer and see who the true athlete hero of the USA. Who makes the best beer?
Oh, yes. So funny you should mention that. I'd never heard of that beer, but a friend of the show, Bernie, who's on the Burn Appetit podcast and the Cross the Streams Media Network, he posted on Facebook that after the 4th of July, they did a fire sale on Real American Beer because apparently they're selling it in Missouri. And so I was like, oh, that's an interesting one. I thought it was kind of one of those politically driven beers, but little did I know that was Hulk Hogan on the scene. So we're gonna have to patch Bernie on to get the scoop on that one.
Yeah, we need more info about this for sure. All right, my last other random one is Cascade Brewing up in Portland closed down.
Ooh.
So this may not mean as much to you, but Cascade Brewing, their sour, I mean, this was like one of the biggest sour programs in the country when craft beer first came about. And this was like the first sours that I ever liked and actually drank were by them. My wife and I, we went and visited Portland and did like just a whole bunch of brewery tours. We went to Cascade and ate there and just like tried a whole bunch of stuff. So this one means a lot to me. This is like one of the OG craft beer places that was actually like all in on the sours.
Okay.
And they were so successful for so long. It's sad to see them shutting down. I don't know. There's not much to say about it. I just wanted to mention it because it makes me sad.
Ryan's getting a little emotional here.
Yeah.
I'm here for you, Ryan. When your favorite beers close down.
I mean, I'm part of the problem. I can't tell you last time I bought a Cascade beer other than when I was up there like 4 years ago. So, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you're sad, but yeah, I didn't help. I didn't buy him.
You went there for him. I understand. So did you get to the end of your beer news here?
That's it, man. That's all I got. I'm sure there's
no more unsubstantiated North Houston brewery news that you.
Nothing I can talk about right now.
Nothing. You're sworn to secrecy on the North Houston beer news.
But if you go back and listen to previous episodes, we may have recklessly thrown around some rumors that are not unsubstantiated. So go back and listen to our other episodes.
You have to listen to all of them, 1 through 90.
Yeah.
However many. We keep changing seasons, so it's hard to keep track of how many episodes we've done these days.
Yeah, this is season 4, episode 1, right?
Yeah. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Season 3 lasted all of 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. I feel like you're kind of being a tease here. So are you not insinuating that Level Below will be potentially merging with B52 and Fortress?
Nope, that's all I'm willing to say at this point, Drew.
Okay. All right, Ryan, it is officially time to close. It's been great hanging out with you in person, doing a podcast episode, talking about random beer shit, drinking some good beers, making some questionable decisions on our beer information. But I'm glad to be here, and I would like to let the listeners know that we are committed to do some more episodes. We've got another great one coming for you soon where we are going to taste Houston's best German Pilsners. You do not want to miss that one. Maybe the best beers in the world. Just going to give a little preview there. So, Ryan, please close this out.
I feel a little better about this episode. I thought it was going to be like we joke about being the Grim Reaper of episodes where we talk about brewery closures all the time, but no, we talk about some good stuff mixed in there too. So thank you for being with us through the highs, through the lows. Sorry we ghosted you guys for a little bit, but we're back. We got some experiments coming. Hopefully you've learned some potentially factual, potentially false information along the way.
As is our style.
I'm not going to tell you which one is which. So with that, I will just say thanks, y'all.
We'll see y'all next time. This has been a Beering Ain't Easy production out of Houston, Texas. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook or at our website at crossthestreamsmedia.com, where you can find our podcast and all the other great sister podcasts on our network.
This has been a Cross the Streams Media Podcast.
Good God. It's going to be a great episode.
Yeah.